Okay, let's talk about self-employment in 2026, and let's talking about sort of like what it takes in order to be successful. I would consider myself somewhat successful. I live a life by design. I my last full-time job was 2 years ago, 2 and a bit years ago. I've been able to sustain myself and my family for this time, and I'm still growing as well. So I'm still growing. I got clients in the pipeline yet to be closed and all that and that sort of stuff. And I think I've got a system for gaining them. But I just wanted to talk about self-employment. Because it sounds very glamorous, and I like to be very honest and transparent on this channel. It can be glamorous. Like when I say things like that like I work remotely from home a majority of the time. I might see my clients maybe 6 days out of the month, between 4 and 6 days out of the month. And that's enough. We I don't have meetings every second, because I found that working in corporate and marketing teams, there'd always be a meeting, some sort of person to some other thing to get signed off before this thing happens and that thing happens and all of that. Um, and in self-employment you can kind of like create those terms for yourself, but at the same time you have to remain wary to the fact that your client is now essentially your boss. And sometimes it feels like, oh, this would be the right thing to do, or this is what I got to do, but maybe this is the right thing for the business, this is the right thing for the relationship as well. um and this is just my decision that I'm going to make this time around. The buck really stops with you. And nobody is going to lift you out of bed, if you decide to quit your job or you have a business, which I don't advise. I advise that you have some sort of business that is matching or surpassing what you're making at work, maybe but two or three xing it before you quit. If you quit before that point and then you find yourself at home like, okay, what do I do now? You're kind of like, you have these sort of expectations and nobody is lifting you out of bed to make the phone ring, to get the email, to get the work. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of advertising online that the advertising ads, advertising, this is the one thing you need to do for your company, this is the one thing to get leads to. I wouldn't listen to any of it. I would try things. I would try a lot of things. I run a digital marketing company, I run ads for companies, I do content, all of this, right? But within my business, I also call companies in order to find my business as well. you know Classic cold calls, it still works. So, we just need to remain savvy to the fact, self-employment in 2026, it just feels like it's so accessible, that you really just need to make yourself stand out by any means necessary. And you can't be too proud to go and do what needs to be done in order to grow your business, in order to get to that next level, if that's what you want to do. Um, yeah, and marketing or digital marketing isn't just, okay, I'm just gonna do this one thing, or I'm just gonna hire an agency and do this one thing. You need to be doing multiple things, or testing multiple things every year to see what is working. You know what I mean? Maybe you have your core things that you go to, and then every season, or every special event on the calendar, you do this thing, you know or maybe you just do some fun, I don't know, some workshops, some fundraising, some other things, because the marketing doesn't always need to relate to a sale. It doesn't need to always be related to a direct sale. Marketing is communication. So, how are you branding yourself? What is the story you're telling? What is the story that you are sharing with others of your brand? What do they think of when they think of you? What kind of light do they put you in? And all of that sort of thing. So I think that in this current moment of time, every business should be a marketing, sales, media business, and then you have your specific niche. So, for example, I never understood when I worked with marketing teams how come they can't they can market within a company, but they can't use the same things that they use in company to become head of marketing to like create their own business. Like, how are you head of marketing, but you don't know how to market outside of like this institution? Something's wrong, you know? And maybe you just got that position because of your age. I don't know. I don't know. Um, but these are some things that I kind of think about. I just ran downstairs, so I'm out of breath. um, what else do I want to say? With marketing and sales, and I'm kind of like primarily a marketer. So I'm like a creative first, turn into a performance marketer, turn into like, somewhat of a salesperson now. Although I'm not a big fan of the sales part, but it just needs to be done because, if we don't do sales and we don't do the business, then I've got a kid and a family to feed, so all of that sort of thing. And maternity leave, the money goes down over time. So it's not like my wife's on this base thing. And paternity, I mean, I run my own business. My all of my processes aren't like perfectly aligned as they would be for a larger organization. So my paternity leave is sort of non-existent, but because I built my life by design, I don't go into an office or anything like that. So it doesn't really feel like, my child's upstairs sleeping. I could just pop upstairs and do what I need to and come back down. But yeah, when you have marketing and sales, so like for example, I've got marketing, right? And I know how to market within an organization and for myself. So I could start any business, essentially any business that I have enough knowledge of, I could market that to get sales. Give you an example. Let's say a roofing company, for example, right? I start a roofing company called Earl of Marketing Roofing. And I do my usual marketing stuff to get inbound leads, right? Use some sales to convert those into sales. And obviously, I know nothing about roofing, right? So I just gain the information and I sell it on to somebody else. So I work with a roofing company, I sub it out in order to kind of like complete the project. And now I have a roofing company. Do you get how that works? Yeah, just some things there. You know what I mean? I don't think it's very challenging to do, but it's whether you do it or not. And I just feel like in 2026, like we're really separating the men from the boys here, or the women from the girls. And yeah, you really have to be quite savvy with what you need to do because nobody is giving handouts. Nobody's giving handouts. Everyone's trying to get. So yeah, and we have like people who don't own like roofing companies, starting roofing companies, people who don't know about roofing, starting roofing companies, people who don't know about dentistry, starting dental practices, gaining leads, selling them on all of that sort of thing. So yeah, and I'm just sharing this video because I know some people they don't think like that. So I'm just kind of expressing myself, and yeah, hopefully you feel like you've gotten something out of this video. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.